Hello and welcome to... Why am I getting... Sorry, I got a warning from OBS that I was having a problem, but apparently not. I'm the expert Layman, and I am going to be talking about my protection warrior build. Just after the little script, I need to check my stream. Seems to be okay. Just one more second. Okay, there we go. The build isn't actually that unusual. It's more in how you use it, and in the devil is in the details, like so many things. Oh God, I did not get that all the way muted. Shut up. The very first thing that I wanted to address. Let me get my stuff up here. And you know what? I probably don't need this. Is the biggest mistake I see a lot of tanks using, and this is with any protection build, is Devastate. And Devastate and weapon speed. So I have a little example here. So on the left is the weapon I used until I got level 70 blue. And on the right is what, by all appearances, is a really good tank weapon. Until you look at what Devastate is. Devastate, sunder the target's armor, causing the sunder armor effect. In addition, causes 50% of weapon damage, plus 35 for each application of sunder armor on the target. The sunder armor effect can stack up to 5 times. Now, one of these weapons is really good, and the other is much less good. And it has to do with the 50% weapon damage. Because the average weapon damage is dependent on speed. And as you see on the left, the average weapon damage for the resonating axe, and by the way, amazing tanking weapon, 2.8 speed. Even though the DPS is lower on the resonating axe, the damage you do with Devastate is much, much higher than with the Crystal Blade of the Draenei. And the Resonating Axe is a quest reward for something in Netherstorm. I forget which quest, but you can look it up. It's a great tanking weapon that you get from a quest. It might be a group quest, but I don't think it's like a 5-man. I think it's like a 2-man, potentially soloable. So, well, I just want to get that out of the way. And I wanted to, there were a couple pull techniques for pulling that I don't see a lot of people using. And, the ones I was going to use it as an example, somebody killed them. Because warrior tanking ain't easy. And you need, every little bit of strategy to help. I'm also going to show the DPS side of it too. See if I can find... You bastard. People always showing up and killing my mobs. Isn't that how it always goes? Well, these over here should be respawning soon. So I'll describe it first. Well, let me put it this way. The last 3 times I tanked Shadow Labyrinth, normal. And the last time I tanked Shattered Halls, I didn't use any... I didn't call for any CC. Didn't need it. No, I don't think I'm a pally, but there are some really helpful strategies you can use to pull better. And having the really slow weapon, like right now, I'm using the Vindicator's Brand, which is the Exalted Aldor reward. And it has an average DPS of Well, a lot higher than the other two. Oh, and there was one more thing I wanted to point out. This, the Reflex Blades. Every tank should spend some time leveling up fist weapon, which is your unarmed, because as a little quirk in the game, when you shield slam, when you get disarmed, getting disarmed really sucks. But what sucks even more is when you get disarmed, you're no longer using your weapon skill for your shield slam. You're using your unarmed. So if your unarmed isn't up, you're going to basically miss with that shield slam every time when you get disarmed. And I believe it also affects shield bash, which is your interrupt. And I suppose I should go through some talents here. I'm waiting for respawns anyway. This is really dumb. 2 points, so you can get 6 more rage at the start. It just doesn't seem worth it. This, I'm jumping stances all the time, and be able to retain 25 total points is enough to do most of your things. Defense is fairly obvious, although I could technically drop this now, because I probably have enough without it. Oh, wait. Yeah. 490 is the cap for raid bosses, and, I'm not going to be tanking raid bosses anytime soon, so, yeah, I could definitely drop that now that I think about it, but, for a lot of people, not so much. Especially if you're just getting into tanking, you're doing level 70 dungeons, and you're putting together the tank set. This is pretty much a must. This is not great, because there's diminished returns on armor after a certain point, and this is great. Block chance is great, and you get rage when you block. Hey, it's 1 point, but hey, last stand will save your life a bunch. Being able to block one additional attack for 1 point seems pretty useful to me. Random stuns, I'm not big on random stuns. I like things to be more predictable, and this is obviously a must for tanking. And the expertise is very nice, especially when when I explain the DPS thing later. This reduces the cost of your devastate. Awesome. Disarm doesn't seem to come up that much, but maybe I'm just not in content right now where it's doing all that much. Reduce cooldown on taunt. Like, the way I can, like, tank, like, many mobs without needing CC, and this is normals. In Heroics, it's a different game, is by controlled chaos. I'll get into more of that later. Concussion blow, 1 point, 5-second stun. It's beautiful. Shield bash. You don't have to wait for them to cast to try to get casters to move around. You can just hit them with that, and you may not be able to take them very far, but there's nothing worse than, like, okay, I'm going to interrupt the caster, and instead of, like, moving with you, you interrupt them, school lock them out of whatever they're casting, and then you try to drag them somewhere, and then they just switch schools and cast again. This is really nice. That's pretty much a must. 2 seconds longer on a shield wall. I can see that in certain raid settings being useful, but this is a build for 5-mans, like off-tanking Karzan, and doing DPS. Because while I was working on skilling up my fist weapon, sorry, I got distracted by something. I'll come back to that. This is improved shield block value. It's not the greatest stat. 2% off spell damage. Hard to get excited about that, especially when you have spell reflect. Shield slam generates a crap load of threat, and it's a way to remove buffs. This is everything. This is like, unless you're buffing yourself, like even Piercing Howl, which I'll get into a bit here. Piercing Obviously a must and a must. Here's where I differ a little bit. I just go in to get the deflection and... I'm back and forth on that one. I'm thinking about putting them over here, but we'll come back to that. Crit, obviously. This... I'll read it. Unbridled Wrath gives you a chance to generate an additional rage point when you deal melee damage with a weapon. Effect occurs more often than Unbridled Wrath rank 4. This is a little deceiving, and I wouldn't have known about it if it didn't have the mixed scrolling combat text. Each rank of this is like its own talent. So instead of getting one additional point more frequently, each one of these ranks has its own chance to proc. So on a single swing, you can get multiple points. I've seen as many as 3 at one time. I suppose it's technically possible that I hit with a... No, it's impossible to get 3 while you're tanking. Because even if the Devastate procs it, which it does, which is pretty cool, I've gotten 3 at once. And that shouldn't happen if this works the way it's worded. But Piercing Howl is a big part of how I can tank multiple groups. Just being able to basically slow them down so you can control the chaos a little bit better can make a huge difference if you use it right. Also, if you run into trouble, you can Piercing Howl and kind of strafe run and do circles. Like if your healer gets CC'd, or you're taking too much damage and you need to be taking a little bit less damage for a little while. And also, if you shoot, and let me close this. If you Intimidating Shout, is kind of dangerous, but it is a way to stop taking damage for a little while. But if you Piercing Howl and then Intimidating Shout, they won't get nearly as far. It's kind of useful in that sense too. But the Unbridled Wrath was the surprise. You get a lot of rage off that. And when I'm just DPSing, it's enough, even if you're not taking any damage, it's enough to keep spamming Devastate. And the cool and interesting thing about Devastate is the additional threat does not apply the additional threat until unless you are in defensive stance. At least that's been my experience. I was kind of worried about using it as DPS, but after bunches and bunches of runs, never had a problem with generating too much threat with the Devastate while in a stance other than defensive. So if you're DPSing, that's what you're spamming. But my mobs seem to be up, so I kind of wanted to show like kind of a standard pull I would use. Especially in Shadow Labyrinth, you can mark a kill target and basically ignore it and go after everything else, because try to tell her, like I would say, okay, everybody nuke skull, everybody nuke skull, don't wait for me, just hit it hard, hit it fast. Don't wait for me to get threat, just hit it as soon as I pull. Because what you can do is wait. Come on. X. You can pull the first one. And then everybody's blasting at it. You can just stun him. Cycle, get a couple sunders on the other targets. And then right about now, they'll be pulling off you, and you can hit them with the taunt and gain all the threat. I need to turn this down. Oh, and I'm in all tanky right now, so I'm not going to do a crap for damage. And what that does is it gives you a chance to hit some threat on the other targets while he's stunned, and then when they blasted him, if he's not dead yet, you can hit him with another taunt. And if you hit him with like a Sunder or a Shield Slam right after that... Man, I'm really not paying attention here. And mix scrolling combat text is so useful. I'm taking damage here because they're using spells. Also, I'm a little distracted. This is why I never tank and stream. So I had a lot of fun in Shattered Halls. I got in there. I had 2 mages, which, you know, usually a warrior tank would be like, oh my god, that's awesome. I have two sheeps. And they're asking what their sheep targets were, because, you know, they're good DPS. And I said, no sheeping. Because I looked at, I had inspected one of their talents, and I saw that they had improved blizzard and permafrost, which, you know, makes it, even improves the slowing effect even after that. So I say, okay, I'm going to gather them up. As soon as I get in one spot, drop your blizzard. And then once they start moving, you can cycle your frost novas, and I will pick up all the, what do you call them? All the troublemakers. This would be like people who resisted or broke through somehow. This would also be like the ranged, and I will just manage the stragglers who aren't getting with the blizzard program, and either drag them back in or just get enough threat on them so they're not hitting anybody but me. I really felt sorry for the rogue on that run. I did say, be careful with your frost novas as to not frost nova gib the healer, because thing about frost nova, you can kill people with it quite easily, because if they can't kill the one they want, they'll kill the one they can reach. So if there's a bunch of mobs going for the mage, and then the mage frost novas, like 4 of them, and they're all within melee range of the healer, they will all take a swing at them at the same time and usually kill them. So that's something you kind of want to avoid. But the other thing I was planning on doing here, switching over to my... Oh shoot, was I not on the right screen? I bet you I was not. Nope. But that's okay. I will demonstrate again on the correct screen. I want to find a group, but I don't want to be, that'll probably work. Back to tank gear. So, the plan is, shoot one, then you can concussion blow him, this under, and the other 2 guys, when he comes back, they'll be blasting him, and you can taunt him and pick up all their threat as soon as they go. But, keep a piercing howl on them, even if you lose aggro. They don't run all that fast. Maybe I won't fight the big guy this time, too. Am I still wearing my DPS gear? Oh, it doesn't really matter, but, yeah, you basically pull them, stun the kill target, get a sunder or 2 on the other 2 or 3, and then come back to the kill target, taunt him, hit him with like a shield slam, and then it just makes it easier to control it. But if it's like big pulls, like Shadow Labyrinth, where you'll have like 5 of them, just ignore the kill target. It'll die before it takes anybody out. And then you can focus your efforts on gathering the rest. Well, that was not what I intended to do. And you can tank multiple mobs. And especially if you do that one, you ignore the skull, or maybe just stun him. If you have another, like, if you have like a DPS warrior in your group, that's actually a good time to have a DPS warrior in your group. But I also wanted to show what kind of DPS you're capable of. You saw my spec. I'm gonna go to a DPS gear, and I've seen some, like, because one thing I always hated was off-tanking in Crusade with a warrior. Like, your DPS just sucked. Like, it was freaking terrible. And I've seen people use like a two-hander, which is dumb because devastate. So I think I have this set up on current. Yeah, okay. The nice thing about Unbridled Rage, hypothetically, if you had you notice I don't. Okay. I was about to say, I always have enough rage for devastate. You'll see how I'll get like multiple points from Unbridled Rage at the same time. They also seem to each have their own cooldowns. So technically, Whirlwind can hit up to 4 targets with both weapons. So it's technically possible to gain 40 rage from your Whirlwind. Basically, you know, it's possible your Whirlwind could end up being free if you hit all 4 targets and get lucky with your procs. Try this again. You see, I'm floating around 400 to 500 DPS, just spamming devastate as protection. And I didn't show. I should show my DPS set. And this is no buffs. I don't even have Battle Shout going. So if you're rocking raid buffs, this can. I believe I did. What was my last dungeon? I had 500 for the whole 70 dungeon. Might have been Botanica or Arcatraz. But let me switch back over to my left screen. I got the Headless Horseman. Oh wait, I have voices turned down. It might not come through. But it's hit rating, hit rating, hit rating, because you need the rage. Hit is rage. Wait, do I? Yeah, I don't have a separate DPS, but this is both tank and DPS. But hit rating, hit rating, hit rating, hit rating, hit rating. Yeah, I wish I could put that in the main hand, but the Reflex Blades are only main hand. And that 2.7 is great, even though this is still better for Devastate. Hit rating. And I still have some defense, so when you're DPSing and you pull aggro, it actually will keep you alive fairly well. I mean, I'm still plus 28. Seems like I should be more than that. Oh, 60. At any rate. And having lots of stamina helps too. And having lots of stamina makes your cannibalize is based on total health. So the more health you have, the more cannibalize heals you for. So if you're just pulling and killing, you basically don't have downtime except the cannibalize, which is a lot faster than eating. I still don't have a good second trinket. He didn't hit 70 during Brewfest, so I wasn't able to get like a Brewfest trinket, but I was able to get the Headless Horseman, DPS ring, and the head, so still pretty happy about that. It's weird that you can still equip arrows even though you have the throne. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to plow through mobs for a little bit. Just find a good stretch to run through. Oh, when you're farming, this spot will get you killed. Because for some reason, the elevation doesn't affect aggro distance. So a number of times I'm just going along here farming. And suddenly, like, 4 of them run down from up top. Like, what, what happened? Okay, I need to get back on the correct screen. There we go. Oh. This is the spot. Yeah, I was on the wrong screen. Or if you're just kind of going around in a pattern and killing everything, if you're, like, fighting anything along in here, you'll end up on these guys' aggro table, and as soon as they get done killing whatever they're doing, like, all 3 or 4 of them will run down and just freaking gank you. But let's get rolling. I don't like the Warp Masters. Although they have a higher drop rate than everything else around here for rep items. We'll let that one go by. Because you don't actually, I don't actually do that much more damage. Oh, so you're just going to stand there? One thing I found is I never wanted, and I didn't use Devastate that much because I'm like, I hate how it wipes out my rage. But if you kill something, then you get your Victory Rush, which is very nice. And the charge stun is nice because they can't dodge, block, or parry. I kill one more before I... I don't know how I didn't pull that guy on the right. And I'll do a little cannibalize. There's an underground guy here that you can like work on your weapon skill with, although it's still better to go, or ranged weapon, but it's still better to go work on Dr. Boom. Because he doesn't reset, and those guys suck, because they heal, and the captains will put a debuff on you that like seriously reduces your damage. You see that unbridled wrath, like, all the time. I don't think I've seen a 3 yet. It's a fair amount of DPS. Oh, too close. The Warp Engineers run. Oh my god. Do some health. Good so far. And even if you're just out here, like, you know, questing, like, my stand is nice if you, like, don't want to blow a potion. Let's see, 618. And I don't even have my battle shout up because I'm a noob. It is almost like viable as a DPS spec by itself. Oh, look. Looking for DPS. Shadow Labyrinth. Should I do it? I still need to rep there, but I'm tired. We've been working 12s all week. Off for months, and then we go back to work, and it's like 12-hour shifts, and we're going to be doing 6 days. Like, I think they're trying to kill us. Like, if somebody's off work for a while for like a medical reason, and then they're clear to go back to work, they have this, you know, this ramp up procedure so that people don't injure themselves. But apparently, you know, everybody getting like fat and weak being off for 3 months doesn't count as a medical, so but yeah, cycling between targets and just spamming Sunder and or Devastate, but having the slow weapon is so important. I've seen so many tanks working like a 1.5 second weapon and then like having some issues tanking. Like those are great for paladins, because paladins, because of the way their like seals and judgments work, it's a set amount per hit, so you want something fast. But there's not a lot of warrior tank love when it comes to the tanking weapons. And it's just they hate warriors, I think. They make them hard to level. You know, warrior gear is still pally gear for tanking, but pally tanking gear is no good for warriors. But just the alliance bias is just ooh. That is, well, it's fell iron, but I'm still gonna get it. That's the other thing about, like, when you get tired of farming, it's kind of nice to be able to go on to a different class and do it. But as I've been super busy, I'll probably be going to sleep not too long after this stream. But I want to keep active. If I fall out of the habit of doing videos, it's not a good thing. I'm not gonna let them break me. It seemed like there was something else I wanted to get to. That's probably it. How long have I been going? Oh, 30 minutes. That's not too bad. So I guess it's... which screen am I on here? Okay, let's go to the left. So yeah, just keep in mind, slow weapon for Devastate. Like that... It's kind of hard to get your head around the fact that this green with only, you know, like 58 DPS is just massively better than this blue at 62 DPS. Even though it's got the defense and stamina on it, like, this has expertise, which isn't that easy to get. And 13 defense isn't that much, and there isn't that much big a difference in the stamina, and that amount of armor is... it's almost nothing. It looks good. So yes, warrior tanks, avoid the fast weapons. Try to find gear that isn't for pallies. Go out and farm with your tank, because it'll let you play around with stuff, and you know, you don't have to be like, you know, some kind of autistic person to go out and spend an hour farming. You'll get stuff. You can work on weapon skills, especially. And there are some, I believe you, at the Storm Spire, maybe I'll go check that. I believe there is a weapon vendor up there that has some green fist weapons that really aren't that bad for you to work on the skill. I think they have a fast one and a slow one. I'm not going to make you watch me fly up there. So... Thank you for joining me. I'm the expert layman. Whoop, that's not what I'm doing right now. And this has been World of Warcraft, Burning Crusade. Layman's Prot build, but it's more about being able to tank 5-mans effectively without needing CC. Being able to off-tank in like Karzhan and maybe bigger raids, I don't know. And being able to DPS without feeling like you're useless. I'm the expert layman. You all have a great day.